Welcome aboard! Surf's Up Builds Episode 2. Today, we're going to install this LiTime battery, hook it up to a DC to DC charger, and get this house battery bank system operational. If you haven't yet, be sure to check out Episode 1, where I introduced this new series, as well as my boat and this battery. For those that missed it, I unboxed and highlighted all the sweet new features of this LiTime lithium battery that was provided to me by no one else but LiTime themselves. I reached out to them looking for a new power solution, and they were kind enough to send me this beast of a battery. I also built this brand new box to house the beast. Now, let's go pick up where we left off and go wire this engineering miracle into my boat's existing system. But first, let me remind everyone why this battery is special. There are really three main reasons why this is the future of boating. The first and most important is that it is very powerful. Lithium batteries can use almost all of their energy capacity without a drop in voltage. For comparison, these old lead acid batteries only use about half of their power reserve before their voltage drops to an unusable level. That means that this battery has twice the amount of energy storage as two of these 8Ds combined. The second reason is a bit more obvious. This LiTime battery is a lot smaller and lighter. In fact, it is the mini model, which means that it's 30% smaller than other 300 amp hour lithium batteries and about half as light as three 100 amp hour lead acids. And the last reason is because right here next to the word mini is the word smart. This battery has both a battery management system that'll keep it from damaging itself, as well as Bluetooth so that you could see and monitor its use. So now that we understand why this battery is awesome, it's time to install it. In my case, I'm adding a lithium battery to act as its own house battery bank system, and I'm keeping the two lead acid 8Ds for the starting batteries. I wouldn't say this setup is harder or easier if you were converting everything to lithium or if you were just adding a new lead acid battery to your existing system. But the two different types of batteries do have different battery profiles, and they're not going to get along with each other. Mainly due to that charge-discharge pattern that I mentioned earlier, where lithiums hold their voltage throughout while lead acids don't. This means that directly connecting the two types of batteries would cause a lot of problems, and we really want to avoid connecting the alternators directly to the lithium battery. Luckily, there are a lot of good resources online for explaining how to best do this so that you don't have to be a pro electrician. Many of these diagrams are provided by the RV and van life community, but all the concepts are the same. I have included the one I'm using here down in the description below, and I'll do my best to try and simplify it for everyone. Basically, we're going to completely separate the two battery systems from each other, then connect them via a DC to DC charger that takes the power from the starting batteries and gives it to the lithium battery in a safe manner. This DC to DC charger will act as the only connection between the two systems, allowing both to operate independently of each other while staying charged. The charger I'm using is LiTime's 12 volt 40 amp DC to DC charger with MPPT. I like this charger for a couple reasons outside of the fact it was provided to me with the battery. The first being that the charger is a fair size. It is pretty small, and I think that everyone will be able to find a place to mount it. Secondly, I think that using the same brand charger with your battery just makes sense. If you use the same brand equipment, nothing should ever really give you trouble because it's all tested for their products. And lastly, this charger comes with the MPPT. For those unfamiliar, the MPPT is usually a separate system that you have to get in order to hook up your charger to solar panels. In this case, the solar connection is integrated into the charger itself and will automatically switch between solar and alternator power, prioritizing the alternator when the engines are on. Now that we have all the necessary equipment installed, let's see if we can't connect it all together. As each boat is different, I will do my best to explain everything as I go. You will need to familiarize yourself with your own boat's electrical system if you're using this video as a tutorial. As I wired my entire boat myself 5 years ago, I know that this positive cable and this negative cable are the only two wires that power my entire electrical system. Upstream of these cables is a fuse and a bus bar that everything is connected. The only thing not connected to the system are the bilge pumps, which I will leave directly connected to the 8Ds for now. As these cables are now shorter than I need them to be, I will remove them, measure, and get a new cable. I will also have to crimp different lugs on the new cable as the terminals of the lithium battery are a bit smaller. Now with the switch to the new LiTime house system initiated, I'm going to leave the negative terminal disconnected and move on to the DC-DC charger. This charger comes with all the necessary connections to go ahead and wire it up, and it even comes with these nice quick disconnects. But I'm going to include two more things with the recommendation of the diagram, which are circuit breakers both before and after the charger. The charger is rated at 40 amps and recommends an input breaker of 60 amps and an output breaker of 50 amps. Those of the keen eye will also notice that I'm not installing a battery switch at this time. That's because I have a DC breaker panel that everything runs off of, and I'm hoping that when it's shut off, I won't have any parasitic draw. I also intend on adding solar soon after this project, and if I add a battery switch near the battery, then it's going to disconnect it from the charger. If it becomes a problem down the line, then I'll add a battery switch, but for now, I'm just going to monitor the situation. My goal is to eventually get to the point where the boat can run any piece of equipment indefinitely and be monitored remotely. But for now, everything is installed and we connect the final negative terminal. Boom, I now have a house bank. The final terminal you're going to connect is actually the ground on your starting bank. To understand why, let's go over how the charger works and how you wire everything. The charger has 4 main connections that consist of 7 wires. The first being the positive and negative of the MPPT system. That's for your solar, something I'll be dealing with at a later time. The second is an accessory cable that comes down. This is supposed to hook up to a power source in case you have small alternators. I have traditional or dumb alternators, so the charger itself actually reads when my alternators are producing voltage to my starting batteries and then charges my service battery, which is the LiTime, on its own. But in order to do this, you need to make sure that you hook up the input and output cables correctly. The first thing you start with is actually the output cable. You take the positive side of your output connection and you run it to your positive bus bar. This way it connects to your entire system and charges your service battery. The negative side then goes to your negative bus bar before any sort of shunt or voltage monitor system you have. You really do want to make sure that you do the output side first because your service battery will provide power to the charger and you can select what type of battery source you want to charge. This way, when you connect the input side to your starting batteries, you don't accidentally start charging your service battery with the wrong battery profile. But once your output side is connected, you head over to your input side, you take your positive input wire and you connect it to your positive side of your starting battery system. I'm connecting mine to a 60 amp breaker and then to the starting battery switch for battery cable management. Then you want to take the negative side of your input connection and connect it directly to the terminal on your starting battery. I made a huge mistake here and I tried to connect my input negative to the same bus bar that my output negative was on, assuming that it would all be the same, and I wasn't able to get the charger to turn on and read the proper voltages. It needs the input side to be as directly connected to the starting battery as possible. Be sure that you're not losing any voltages over any of your distance or cable connection. But with everything in place, we can check out the last feature now, which is this reverse charge button. You can hold it down in case your starting battery bank gets too low. If it's anywhere between 3 and 12 volts, you can actually put power from your service battery back into the starters to get your engines running. In the next episode, I'm going to add some Victron equipment in order to monitor my new battery setup, so be sure to subscribe to see more. Everything I mentioned in the video you'll be able to find in the description down below. A big thank you again to LiTime. Be sure to check them and their batteries out. You'll be surprised at how much power they can fit in these small things. Let me know what you think of this setup, and smooth sailing.